With pallet wood, I feel like people either love using it or hate using it. And for me, I don't mind using it because I really enjoy repurposing materials and recycling and upcycling things, so this is right up my alley. I quickly disassembled the pallet with this oscillating tool and cut right where the nails were because I didn't want to use the wood with the nail holes in it anyway. I think another reason why I like using repurposed materials like this pallet is because it's a bit more challenging than using wood that's completely uniform to begin with. So the idea I had with this pallet is to create a lamp, and I wanted to use all sorts of different angles and shapes in the final design. To begin the construction, I decided to use the thicker pieces of the pallet to create a base for this lamp. Now on some of my designs, I'll go ahead and actually draw it out and get dimensions. However, for some reason on this project, the idea was kind of just all in my head, and because it was so unique, I just went with it with the design I had in mind, and I never actually wrote or drew anything up. Now since the base of this floor lamp needs to be wider than any of the pieces that the pallet came with, I needed to get these uniform and squared up so that I can glue them together. As I was creating the base, I was brainstorming ideas of what to use the thinner pieces as. I thought maybe I would use the thinner pieces to create a wooden lampshade and have the light shine through the wood. But the more I thought about that, the less appealing it became. So I rethought about it, and when I was looking at the thinner pieces, I kind of started to see them joined together geometrically with different angles, and that's when the whole design kind of just came together in my mind, and I knew roughly how I was going to accomplish it, and even though I didn't know every detail in the beginning, I knew I could figure it out along the way. So the first shape that I encompassed in this build was a circle for the base. With my cut line drawn with the compass, I was able to take this over to my bandsaw and cut it out. My younger woodworking self would probably cringe at this moment because I'm not using any jigs to cut this circle out perfectly, but honestly, with the skill I have on the bandsaw nowadays, I can cut it out nearly perfect without any jigs. Also, the more that I woodwork, the more that I realize that all these small imperfections that could take hours to correct, no one ever sees in the final design anyways. After creating my rounded over edge on this base, I simply filled any holes and cracks with wood putty and sanded it smooth. Now that I had the base of the floor lamp completed, I was able to move on to creating the main structure of the lamp. After calculating how much material I actually had from the pallet to create this main structure, I realized I had enough material to join 5 long boards together at 15-degree angles. By cutting these boards in half and then joining them at 15-degree angles, it basically makes a large V shape, which I thought would look super cool once all the pieces are standing upright next to one another. However, I didn't think glue alone was going to be able to hold these pieces together, so I used a flush trim bit at my router table to create an opening for a spline. By joining these boards together with glue as well as the spline glued in there, I was confident that that would be strong enough to last. Then I cut a groove on the table saw for where the wire is going to be embedded. Although I could have used pallet wood to create the splines as well, I decided to use this walnut because I have a bunch of walnut scraps laying around and this is the perfect use. Once I had the walnut cut to size to be able to fit in the groove that I created with the flush trim bit on the router, I cut them to rough length on the miter saw, leaving plenty of room to trim off later after they're all glued in place. I also sanded these walnut splines so the glue would have a better surface to adhere to and so they slide in much better. Next, I drilled a hole at the end of these boards to insert dowels, and that's going to enable me to be able to clamp these boards up securely even at an angle. I experimented with many different ways of clamping these up without the use of these dowels, and I found that each of the ways just didn't provide a secure clamping pressure on the board to get it properly glued. Once all the dowels were cut to rough length, it was time to glue these 5 pieces together. First, I placed glue within the hole that I drilled out on the drill press, and I also placed some glue on the dowel just to make sure that's securely glued in there. Now, to get these where they need to be, I needed to hit them with a rubber mallet all the way through so I can get clamping pressure on both sides. Once the dowel was in the correct place, I was able to place glue at the end of these boards and then also place glue on the spline, making sure to coat the entire surface. The spline also helped these boards align properly so that all I had to worry about was clamping these together. And because I have the dowels on either side of this board, right where the boards are clamped together, it allows me to apply the pressure required to actually get these glued up securely. I then repeated this glue up process on the next 4 sets of boards, which left me with 5 of these pieces joined together at 15-degree angles, and they were looking awesome. Once the glue had plenty of time to dry, I was able to start cleaning these boards up, and they sure needed a lot of work. First, I had to trim off all the excess wood from the dowels and the splines, and once that was completed, it was time to head over to the joiner where I can turn these rough pallet edges into straight smooth surfaces. By jointing the edges of these boards, as well as the faces, by slightly rotating them to get them through the jointer, they came out really great. I decided with all the shapes and the angles that I was trying to incorporate in this build, I thought it'd be better to round over all the straight edges on these pieces. I simply repeated this process on all the boards to create a nice round over look. Now that the 5 angle pieces, which make up the main structure of this floor lamp, are completed, we're going to be moving on to the different elements that are going to make this lamp come together. So I had to figure out a way to somehow symmetrically and accurately join all these angled pieces together to not only create a geometric shape that fits together accurately, but also to create something that aesthetically looks pleasing. This was in some way the shot in the dark of the project. Was the design that I created going to look aesthetically pleasing once it was actually in real life? After thorough consideration with test pieces that I used, I decided that the pentagon shape would be the best shape to join all these angled pieces together. So these boards provide reference points so I can create a perfect pentagon shape, and they provide stability to the structure. Creating a design in your head and actually putting the pieces together are 2 completely different things. In your head, you can imagine anything and it doesn't have to fit together perfectly just yet. But when you're trying to bring it to life, everything has to have a way to fit together. The hero of this step of the project quickly became none other than super glue. This allowed me to temporarily, yet carefully, join this shape together. I was fairly surprised how well this glue actually worked. Now, the tops of all these boards aren't fitting together as perfectly as the bottom ones, but that's okay because I can stretch and pull the top into alignment later. To secure this pentagon shape in place, I used 1.5-inch nails, 2 in each side. Once this bottom structure was secured in place, it was time to set it on the floor and begin working on the top of the structure. I used a band clamp to get all the top boards aligned. I also utilized that flat reference board to make sure the top was flush. It was very cool to see the overall structure start taking place at this step. When I was coming up with the idea of this lamp, I knew I wanted the light to shine not only on the outside of the lamp, but through the middle of the lamp. So at this step of the project, I had 3 things to consider. 1, I needed to clean up the top and cover all those rough edges. Number 2, I needed the light to shine through the middle of the lamp. And 3, there had to be something in the middle of the lamp to securely mount the light fixture onto. So first, I decided what I needed was a flat, hollow shape to let the light shine through, but also to cover up the rough edges at the top of the floor lamp. So I milled the lumber similar to how I milled the base. To match the floor lamp's base, I'll be creating a hollow circle at the top of the lamp, and to get this measured out properly, I needed to just come over the edge of the outside of the top, and once I got that measurement on my compass, I etched it in from the center of the board and took it over to my bandsaw to cut out the circle. I then created a rounded over edge on my router table so that this piece matches the rest of the boards of this build. Now, because I want the light shining through the middle of this floor lamp, I need to hollow out the middle of the circle, and to do that I'll be drilling a large hole. First, however, I need to measure the radius of how large I need that circle to be, and then I transfer that radius onto my circle cutting drill bit. With the radius of that hole locked in on my circle cutting bit, I'm able to accurately hollow out this circle. To make sure this board doesn't slip in the process of drilling, and to get an accurate hole without any tear out, I've clamped on a flat sacrificial board as well as clamped the circle onto that board so that my hands can be free of the drill bit. The final step that I need to take to complete this hollow circle is to round over the top edge. This hollowed out circle is going to be great to complete the look at the top of the floor lamp. However, we still don't have anything to attach the light fixture onto in the middle of the lamp, so I need to craft that next. So I cut a 15-degree angle in this scrap piece of walnut so it can fit snug at the top of the floor lamp. This walnut will provide enough lumber to securely mount the light fixture onto, while at the same time providing plenty of extra room for the light to shine through. Once I had the center point of this piece of walnut properly measured out, I was able to drill a hole that matches the size of the threaded bolt that came with the light fixture. Now I had all the pieces I needed to satisfy my 3 considerations I had before. 1. I have a perfect piece to cover up the rough edges at the top of the floor lamp. 2. I left plenty of room for the light to shine through the middle of the lamp. And 3. I now have a structure in the middle of the lamp to actually hold a light fixture onto. I utilized a hollowed out piece as an alignment guide and then mounted it with glue and 1.5-inch nails. With the top structure complete and all the considerations met, it was time to attach the main structure to the base. I didn't want nails to be the only thing attaching the base to the main structure, so I clamped on those temporary blocks so I can remove the main structure and then apply glue exactly where it needs to be, and then be able to place the base back into its correct position because the blocks guide it into place. This isn't the only time that I use such a technique. I think by clamping on reference points to boards and then those act as your guide actually comes in handy in a bunch of different projects for a bunch of different uses. Now that I have the base secured in its correct position with glue as well as 1.5-inch nails, I can go ahead and give everything a good sanding up to 320 grit. With all the surfaces sanded smooth, it was time for finish. I took thoughtful and careful consideration choosing which stain to use on this project. I used wood cutoffs from previous steps of the project to test out different stains. It was clear that the stain by Varathane called Espresso, which was the darkest stain, looked the best on this project. Once the stain fully dried, I began to wire the light fixture. First, I securely attached the threaded bolt to the centerpiece. Then I slid the wire through the groove I made earlier and pulled it through the bolt and out the top. Then I had to create this special knot which is at the top of every light fixture, which keeps the wire in place and it doesn't allow it to fall through the hole. Then I had to make some simple electrical connections. The striped wire went on the neutral screw, which is silver, and the hot wire went on the brass screw. With the electrical connections made, I was able to put the socket within the base and then attach the cover on the top, which secures it in place. Then I used the grooves that I made earlier to conceal the wire all the way down the lamp and out the side. One of the reasons why I chose the espresso stain was because it was the closest color match to the outside of the wire. I used a 100-watt soft white LED light bulb for this fixture. The harp hardware as well as the shade I'm going to install came from a thrift store lamp for $8, and all the new shades on Amazon cost $30 or more, so I just went with that instead, and it worked out great. Seeing this lamp come together so well, and knowing that the design was just in my head and I brought it to life has definitely helped boost my creativity a little bit, and I'm going to need it because I got a bunch of new projects that I'm going to start on soon. The resourceful side of my personality also is pretty satisfied because it only took me $23 to put this thing together. But enough about me. I hope this video gave you inspiration to tackle that next project of yours, whatever it may be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.